Hi guys, it's your brother Glasgow here once again. Welcome back to my channel. This video is going to be about the WWE's Money in the Bank 2017 from the other day, from Sunday. And I was going to get to the reviews of Monday and yesterday before SmackDown went up. However, life happens, had to work, and I wasn't able to do it. So this video is also going to include a bit of SmackDown. So, what about the pay-per-view? Well, quite frankly, it sucked big time. Quite frankly, it could be considered one of the worst pay-per-views of 2017. Of course, we haven't had Great Balls of Fire, one of the worst fucking title pay-per-views in history yet, so there might be some salvation for this pay-per-view. So, now don't get me wrong, I know this show is scripted, but when one of my shows on television is bad, I say something. This show is bad, so I'm going to say something. So, first off, this thing was a fucking tragedy. And it was this first ever women's Money in the Bank ladder match. This thing had been touted for over a month about how this was going to be the next step for the women's division. This is going to be the match that puts the women on par with the men. Women's wrestling is here. All fucked up in the match. Again, not by the performances of the performers. The ladies were good. It was the payoff, the ending of the match that sucked. You had the first ever women's Money in the Bank women's ladder match won by a man. A man went up, pulled the briefcase off the hook, handed it to his girlfriend. So technically, Ellsworth won the fucking match. A man. That's bullshit. Should have been won by one of the women. That is something you do for the second or third women's ladder match. Not the first. You cheapened it. You did this to your female division. That is a slap to all their hard work for this year and a half they've been doing, especially hard with rougher matches, to prove that they're equal to the men, which I would agree they are. So, granted, but they got a lot of tweets and all this, they're talking about the ladder match. Yeah, but for the wrong fucking reason. You went for the short game, not the long game. You went for the cheap heat. And then you didn't fix it on fucking SmackDown. Oh, I'm going to take the title back. I'm going to take the briefcase back. We're going to have another one. You can't remake a first of. It's gotten over. You guys fucked it up. That's why it's called the first. So, let's get back to my notes. I don't want to get stuck on that forever. A lot of stuff to cover. So, let her go to the men's Money in the Bank. Again, good performance by the performers. Like the fact that they knocked out, Corbin took out Nakamura for a good portion of the match when he was coming down. But again, the payoff sucked. You had Baron Corbin win the Money in the Bank ladder match. He doesn't need the fucking win. He's already getting a good push. He's working against both heel and face wrestlers, making himself and those guys look good. He's getting them over and himself over. That's a fucking waste to win. He doesn't need this. Next, we have, let's talk about Maria and her husband, Mike Kanellis, coming out and debuting on the pay-per-view. What do? They just come out on the stage, oogie woogly, oh, we love each other, and they go. And that's it. That's a fucking debut. And all else, they don't even appear on fucking SmackDown, the very next SmackDown from last night. They didn't even make an appearance. The fuck are you paying these people for? You tell me you bought these people's contracts to come in and work and you don't have nothing for them? I do. Stick around to the end of the video. Alright, Naomi versus Lana. That was a pretty good match. Now, yes, there were mistakes made, but it's Lana's first solo pay-per-view. She did pretty well, and it was a championship match. And like I told you in my previous video, Naomi is good to work with. Naomi knows what she's doing. Naomi sold her heart out for Lana. She sold moves, she sold pain, she sold everything for Lana. Lana could not have asked for a better worker. Some person to work with. Great. Granted, Lana lost. Though I said a win would be better for her because she'd have bragging rights and such, but the loss makes her want to go after the belt. My biggest problem is with how she lost. And this comes down to the women's ladder match. You have Carmella coming down, so you're doing all the hop, skip, and a jump bullshit with their Money in the Bank. Maybe I'll cash it in. Maybe I won't. Maybe I will. Maybe I won't. Which distracts Lana. And then Naomi capitalizes and wins over Lana. This makes no fucking sense. Okay, now if Carmella's as smart as she's trying to say she was in her interview yesterday on SmackDown, that she was smart to think ahead, she'll let Lana win because Lana has the least experience. Lana would technically be the easiest to win out of her and Naomi. Why would you let Naomi win when she's going to clearly kick your ass? That makes no sense. Like, granted, it'd be a heel versus heel, but don't fucking matter. The perception is what reality you want. What we want. That's just not smart. So, let's see how I would have booked these matches. Okay, guys, I hear you. But Glasgow, what about Jinder Mahal versus Randy Orton? What about that match? I hear you guys. It was a good match. I agree with Jinder Mahal winning. I'm sorry. However, I do not like the way he won. I think he should have won it cleaner. They'd have something good to go on. I'll go over that too in my rewrites. So, let's see if you like how I wrote the matches. Alright? So let's get to it. First off, we don't have Mike and Maria Kanellis appear 3/4 of the way through the fucking pay-per-view. We have them appear right near the beginning. So after the first or second match, they do the exact same thing they did on stage. It's fine. And then we have them causing a bit of a rumble backstage. We have them butting in on the internet interviews and even the pay-per-view interviews. Because they're going to get noticed, okay? The WWE just put a bunch of money into trying to get these people here. Okay, and the WWE doesn't like to believe that TNA exists. They think they're all stupid. So, technically, you wouldn't know who the hell fucking Mike Kanellis is. Fans will know who Maria is. But she ain't been here a while. So, we gotta introduce them. This gives us introduction. It also gives their debut a bit of meaning. So, we have them breaking up interviews, and in one, they have the 5 male contenders for the 5 contenders for the Money in the Bank ladder match, in which Mike comes up. He lets them know, hey, don't worry about Jinder Mahal and Randy Orton, because it's going to be me that's going to be champion, and you'll be facing me in the future. And then he lets it slip that both he and his wife got bonuses on their contract, signing that they each get to challenge the respective winners of the Money in the Bank matches for their contract at the next pay-per-view. So, this now makes them both a threat to the winners, and it gives them a bit of something no one else has in a debut. A guaranteed match at the next pay-per-view for something that was just won in the previous pay-per-view. It also makes them look smart and that they thought ahead. So, let's go to the way I would have done the women's Money in the Bank match. Okay, I wouldn't put it so early in the pay-per-view. As I said earlier, I would put it later in the pay-per-view. In fact, I would probably put it after the men's ladder match, just to show how much importance this ladder match has. You spent a month and a half working on it. Let's make it actually fucking mean something. Alright. So, for that, the Money in the Bank match goes as it did all the way up until Ellsworth knocks Becky Lynch off the ladder. What we have before it goes and does that is we have who show up at ringside? Maria Kanellis. She comes down, starts wreaking havoc among the women, along with Ellsworth, who knocks Becky Lynch off the ladder, and then proceeds to climb up, as he did, and unhooks the briefcase. Okay, as he goes to give the case to Camilla, we have Maria snatch it out and grabs it away from him and starts smacking around. She shouts at him, she scolds him, and then she hits Ellsworth over the head with the briefcase, knocks him out of the ring. She then picks up a mic and pronounces, I am here now, and there ain't no way a man is going to win the first ever women's Money in the Bank ladder match. Not on my watch. To which Carmella is like, who the fuck do you think you are, lady? And then Maria wails on Carmella with the briefcase, taking her out of the match. Maria then climbs back up the ladder, puts the case back on the hook, and leaves the ring, but not before kicking Ellsworth in the ribs, yelling at him for trying to cheapen the win. So then we get it down to where, everyone else is down to where we have just Tamina, Natalya, and Becky Lynch. Natalya's knocked out and down, lays on the floor. Natalya gets a ladder, puts it over Tamina, catching her down. Becky Lynch and Natalya race up to the top of the ladder, are trying to fight over the case. They do the typical slap back and forth deal. Tamina wakes up and starts rocking the ladder. She finally rocks it over the ladder where they might fall off. Becky Lynch leaps up onto the case. Ladder continues to fall. Natalya takes a bump on the rope, the typical ladder bump, and falls back into the ring. Tamina gets up, grabs onto Becky Lynch, and tries to pull her down. She's successful, however, not before Becky Lynch pulls the case down with her, making her the first ever winner of the Women's in the Bank ladder match. Now, I wanted to give this to Natalya, because Natalya has earned it. However, with how I got this planned, I got to give it to Becky Lynch. So, otherwise it would have been Natalya would have won it, because I think she earns it. So, there we go. We have Becky going out as the winner. Everyone else goes back, and of course there's always fighting with the ladies backstage about, Maria coming down, Ellsworth, all that. Doesn't matter. We'll keep that up. So, that's how the women, I would have done that one. So next we have the interview with Jinder Mahal and the Singh brothers, and he both said it will take a miracle for Randy Orton to beat me, the Maharaja. Which then Jinder stops and looks over, and we have the camera pan over to Mike Kanellis. The Miracle, Mike Kanellis. We're going to run with the Miracle angle on him because we don't really know his real name yet. So, what we do is we have Mike say to Jinder, a miracle, huh? Well, it just so happens one has arrived. Which Mike smiles, laughs, walks away, and we pan back to Jinder Mahal with an angry look on his face, and and he walks off. So now we move on to the men's ladder match. So we go on how it goes as the main event. excuse me. We have it go as it was for the most part. And then, including Corbin taking out Nakamura for some of the match, because that was great. Okay, we keep going. And then we have, as the ladder match is going on, and it's getting down to the nitty gritty, and then who suddenly appears? Mike freaking Kanellis, Mr. Miracle, the Miracle himself, shows up, and then he starts interfering in the match. He's wailing on people left and right. He comes around, picks up the United States Championship belt, admires it, takes a look, to which Kevin Owens comes down, sees him, and says, "What the hell do you think you're doing with my belt?" Mike hits Owens with his belt, knocking him down, and then starts beating on Owens. And then he next takes out Corbin, and with the help of Sami Zayn, and then after he takes out Corbin with Zayn, he takes out Zayn, and who Zayn had just taken out, who previously just took out Ziggler. All right, and while this is happening, Nakamura and Styles are taking themselves out of the match. Okay, because they're great workers, they're doing great. They take themselves out of the match. And then, while Mike works over Ziggler and keeps Owens down for the count by throwing him into a post or so, who goes into the match, into the ring with a ladder? Good old Dolph Ziggler. And he climbs the ladder and grabs the Money in the Bank briefcase. Dolph Ziggler is your winner. And that's how it fucking should have went. Because out of all these guys, he's the one that needs the push the most. Everyone else is getting a push. You got Nakamura gets a push just on his name alone. He's going through the crazy. AJ Styles gets pushed on by his name alone. Baron Corbin. I spoke about him earlier. He's already getting his own damn push. Sami Zayn is Sami fucking Zayn. He's getting his own damn push. So he's kind of floundering, but he's still getting his own damn push. The only person who this match would actually benefit is Dolph Ziggler, and he's won it before. Okay? Because he's been floundering in some of these matches. Granted, the Nakamura matches he has is pretty good, but this benefits Zayn more. It gives him a reason to go. And it gives him a reason to be relevant. And the Raiders don't have to do a whole lot of fucking creativity with Ziggler as the Money in the Bank person, because they obviously can't fucking find one for him. And he's a good fucking performer. He can do it. Okay, so after the Money in the Bank matches, we have the men, the women. You can interchange them if you want. It doesn't matter. Next we go to the Women's Championship match. What we change here is, instead of, like we already know, instead of Carmella and Ellsworth coming down during the match, we have Becky Lynch coming down over halfway through the match. Okay? This is when Lana and Naomi would be somewhat exhausted, presumably. And all she does, she just stands there at ringside at the ramp with her Money in the Bank, hanging it, shaking it a little bit, and then putting it down. Not an interfering threat, but a standing threat. Match continues between Lana and Naomi. You know, semi-distracted, but not totally. Match goes on for a couple more minutes. And then, just as it's getting good, and we think Becky might go cash that in, BAM! Attack from behind by none other than Maria Kanellis herself. That's right. Maria comes down, knocks down Becky Lynch. She drops her briefcase. Maria picks up Becky Lynch and slams her hard into the metal steel steps, all the while and knocking out Becky. She then Maria picks up the Money in the Bank briefcase and shakes it in front of Becky. A injured Naomi sees what's going on outside the ring, comes to her friend Becky's aid a bit, while Lana is being admonished by the referee for a previous shenanigans, say like a break to the eye, a punch, whatever. He's distracted. Naomi reaches through the ropes, tries to grab the Money in the Bank briefcase. Maria pulls it away and then hits Naomi with the briefcase. It's a glancing blow. It's not a solid blow, but it's a glancing blow. It's enough to make Naomi grab her head a little bit, come back out through the ropes, spin around just in time for Lana to capitalize, pick up Lana, and throw her into another spine buster. However, this time it's not that arm breaker, sit out spine buster she does. She does a big spinning spine buster like Arn Anderson used to do. And to show the power she has, she lets out a great big scream as she does it. Ah! Wham! 1, 2, 3. Naomi is pinned. Lana is the champion. To which we see Maria clapping on the outside at the new champion. And of course, we got Lana. She'll be celebrating all that. So you might think they're buddy-buddy. Which we'll get that lead by the commentators wondering. Is Maria and Lana co-conspirators? We'll leave that for another time. So, next up, we're going to do Jinder Mahal versus Randy Orton. Now, you notice I left both championship matches as the last matches, because that's what they both should be. They are the top dog title should be the last matches on the card. So now this match goes on until the Singh brothers start on Orton's dad and the other legends, around the ring. Like it happened, Orton comes around, starts defending his dad, Jinder starts coming out, and then all of a sudden, Orton gets reinforcements by none other than Mike Kanellis himself. What's he do? He comes out and starts beating on the Singh brothers. Doesn't touch Jinder Mahal, and he doesn't touch Orton, but he hits the Singh brothers, gets them away from the legends, Randy Orton and Jinder Mahal. He goes, Randy, I got this. You take care of Jinder. They go back into the ring, fighting around. Mike chases off the Singh brothers. He chases them up the ramp, most likely cheers, and he's going to go all the way up, and the Singh brothers run behind the curtain. Here comes Mike Kanellis running up, goes the curtain, and BAM! He falls back out from behind the curtain. He's been hit. Who comes off from behind the curtain who hit him? Dolph Ziggler, and he hit him with his Money in the Bank briefcase. Dolph looks at Mike and he goes, "You're not going to jump me for my contract." Hits him again with the briefcase, picks him up, does some other stuff with him, and basically impales him knocks him out on top of the stage. Now Orton has been distracted by the stage commotion because he's here in the crowd. He looks up on the stage, sees the commotion. Ziggler holds up the Money in the Bank, pointing at himself, and then pointing to Orton. To which now Orton is spun around by Jinder. Up the Cobra Clutch Slam. 1, 2, 3. Jinder Mahal wins, just like he did. And this way, he gets to go off and say he has a clean pinfall over Randy Orton. He can go into the Middle East, into India, and be a good honor to his people because he now has a clean win over Randy Orton. He didn't need the Singh brothers to interfere because they were stopped by Randy Orton and the Miracle Mike Kanellis, and this helps Jinder out. He now has a reason to claim himself as the Maharaja. So, now, what does all this do? Well, it sets up a lot of things for the next few months in some situations. Like I said, Jinder is legit champion and can run with that. Ziggler now gets a push that he desperately needs. Lana got a great match and won, even though it wasn't clean, but she's got bragging rights. The women's ladder match was pushed later into the card and was won by a woman, both of which gave the match more meaning, like it should have had. Both Mike and Maria not only made a better debut, but became an integral part and workings of the pay-per-view that they debuted on. This would now give a push to debut people on a pay-per-view and make people want to fucking buy a pay-per-view. Because if this is something a debut could have, holy shit, I want a pay-per-view. I mean, hell, it's better than even when Samoa Joe appeared and did some shenanigans. I mean, that's fucking shenanigans to the hilt. You had them interrupting interviews, interfering in matches. They determined a match pathway of the company. And it sets them up with, and this of course now sets them up with opponents. So, it sets up Maria with Lana, Becky, Carmella, and Naomi to contend with, while Mike gets Ziggler, Owens with a chance at the U.S. title bid, Baron Corbin, Sami Zayn, Jinder Mahal, and the Singh brothers, and possibly Randy Orton if he wants. And it's a big ass fucking debut for a man and a woman. They came in as a big debut. They went out with the big debut. And then I think the WWE would have gotten a good chunk of their fucking money's worth just out of the fucking debut alone. So, and it would also make people want to fucking turn into SmackDown to see, okay, what the fuck is the deal with all this aftermath? What the fuck's going to happen? Holy shit. Okay, so how would they work this in SmackDown? Well, I'm glad you asked. Here we go. So here's how I would start SmackDown off. It's not with Mike and Maria in the ring and touting their compliments on Sunday night. No, we have Lana, Jinder, Becky Lynch, and Dolph Ziggler do promo spots throughout the night. And for the first hour. And between matches, Money in the Bank winners saying the normal spiel. Lana and Jinder saying their normal Jinder doing his championship spiel. Lana being a first-time winner, her spiel. You could have Becky and Carmella come out and tell Lana that tell Lana that Carmella that she couldn't have won without her man's help, but Lana could win without her man's help, and her man is very proud of her. And then, so Mike and Maria make their appearance at the start of the second hour. They arrive in a limo, surrounded by bodyguards or off-duty cops. They get escorted to, showing them the big shots. They come out to the ring. The newest power couple. They make, they take the mics and start, of course, congratulating the winners of the Money in the Bank matches and the championship. But then they say that you only won because we wanted you to. They wanted Lana, Becky, and Ziggler to win because they can easily beat them. And that Jinder Mahal win was a fluke. But they also reveal that the Money in the Bank winners can't cash in their contracts until after the next pay-per-view matches. An ingenious move. Think about it. You just put a moratorium on how good that contract could be. Can't cash it in, so these guys have a month stuck with the thing. That's a month they cannot cash it in. That's ingenious. They laugh at the winners and even the audience. We've been planning this from the start. And like some of our other co-workers that have come back from another organization, we made sure that we were well compensated. When we knew that the WWE wanted us, we made sure we were well taken care of for some time. Maria takes the lead for most of this interview because she's out to prove something. I am not the same Maria Kanellis that left this place years ago. I am better, I am tougher, and I am smarter. That's why my husband and I plotted and planned about Money in the Bank, and we made that show. It wasn't the losers you watched. Lana, do you think for 1 second that you could have beaten Naomi without my help? Not a chance. Becky Lynch. In fact, all you ladies that were in the Money in the Bank match, you were going to be pitiful enough to let a man win your match and give the contract to Carmella, of all people. I came back just in time. We continue with stuff like that just for a little bit more, and then we have them leave, both making their marks in settings. They made the marks, they're setting the stage for the next few weeks, and you all have 2 matches set for your next pay-per-view. Maria versus Becky, and Mike versus Ziggler. So, then we could have each of them debut one each week. So like the week after this SmackDown that would have went, like next week I would have Mike take on Ellsworth in a one-on-one match, which Mike totally destroys Ellsworth. Not even a contest. Could be record-breaking. Then the SmackDown after that one, you have Maria take on Carmella, and she barely wins, but still a win. And then the SmackDown after that, which makes SmackDown number 3 since Money in the Bank, you would have, not even number 4, Mike and Maria versus Ellsworth and Carmella in a mixed tag team match. So, that covers 4 SmackDowns with Mike and Maria. This also runs the course of an early feud, and then down the line, when Maria takes on Lana after Maria wins the Money in the Bank from Becky Lynch, you could have the feud come in with, this is where you could bring Rusev in. When Maria starts taking Lana, this is a good spot for Rusev. Bring Rusev in, then you'd have Mike and Maria being taken on Lana and Rusev. So, that's a good setup. It makes Money in the Bank 2017 more fucking relevant. It gives a better debut to Maria and Mike, makes them a debut more fucking interesting. Makes people want to buy more fucking pay-per-views. If shit like that's going to happen on a debut, it gives you 4 SmackDowns, a month's worth of run on one feud before you start working on the next pay-per-view after, because you have the Great Balls of Fire, and then, because you got one more pay-per-view before the next one, so it gives you time to work with that one, and then you can start working on Lana. So, and this way, it gets rid of that botch-ass endings they had in the fucking pay-per-view. So this kind of works out better. And then with Ziggler going against Mike, you got that feud going the month before that next pay-per-view. You could have, this makes a whole bunch of new fucking product. And then it gives you something to do with someone you just fucking bought instead of them just fucking sitting there. So, what do you think? Did you like how I've scripted this? How this could have gone? Do you think it would have been much better? Let me know down below. As always, like, comment, and subscribe. You guys take care, and I will see you all next time.